So this is the leg. Today we're going to walk through the different muscle groups of the leg, essentially walking right through your labidendum. First of all, we have the hamstrings. That is a group of 3 muscles. Right, note that this is on the posterior side of the leg. The knee is way up here. Right, this is the popliteal or behind the knee region, and these are the glutes. Right, so here are the hamstrings. They're in the posterior side of the leg. Okay, on the lateral side of the leg, right, so this goes down the side of your leg, we have our first of the hamstring muscles. That is the biceps femoris muscles. Right, so there are 2 heads, and it's near the femur. Second, we have a group of 2 muscles over here. Note that the number 29 can be seen here. Right, and if we flip this around just a little bit, we can also see that the number 29 is here. So this muscle is deeper, right? And then this muscle here is therefore more superficial. The muscle semitendinosus is on top, and this one here we can see on both sides of the semitendinosus is the semimembranosus. Right? Collectively, this group of 3 muscles is the hamstrings group. Next, we have a group of muscles that is on the front of the leg. Right, so here we can see the front of the hip here, the anterior superior iliac spine. We go down here, this is the kneecap or the patella. Okay, so next on your list we see the sartorius muscle. That muscle goes from the anterior superior iliac spine all the way down to essentially right here on the tibia. Right, so it's this long, strappy muscle, again called the sartorius. All right, next we have what we commonly know as the quads muscles. These are technically the quadriceps femoris, so 4 heads around the femur. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is actually deep to this muscle right here. We'll start with the muscle in the middle. This goes straight up and down near the femur, so we call this the rectus femoris. All right, next, we find the lateral side of the leg. Right, so this is the left leg, so this over here would be the lateral side. This is called the vastus lateralis. Okay, so the lateral muscle, that is very vast, is very big. Next we have the vastus medialis. Right, so on the medial side, again, a very big muscle. And finally we have the vastus intermedius, so that is intermediate between the medius and the lateralis. Okay, we can only see that if we remove the rectus femoris muscle. Right, so if we take this off right here, which is being a little bit problematic, we can see a muscle underneath. This would therefore be the vastus intermedius. Okay, this is a group of muscles, which means that all 4 of these are going to either originate or insert on the same spot. And so in this case, all 4 of the quadriceps muscles are going to converge on this single tendon. This is called the tendon of the quadriceps, pretty straightforward. And finally, this tendon is fused to the patella, and the whole group of muscles is going to attach to the tibial tuberosity, this little bump right here on the tibia, via this ligament. And this ligament is called the patellar ligament. And this is what the doctor would hit with a reflex hammer to get you to kick your foot out. Okay, so again, quadriceps femoris and the sartorius. Another group of muscles is here. We are going to be looking at the muscles that move the thigh or actually move your hip. Right, note that we are currently looking at the posterior side of the hip, so these here are the glutes. Right, so again, going right in order, this muscle, which I've just removed, is the gluteus maximus, so kind of your butt muscle. If we remove that, what we can see is there's another muscle just deep to that, and that is called the gluteus medius. All right, next, this long, strappy gray band going down the lateral side of your leg is called the iliotibial tract, because it goes from the ilium all the way down here to the tibia. Okay, inserting on this iliotibial tract, okay, now we're kind of wrapping around to the front, we see this muscle here, which when you put your hands in your pocket, this is essentially like right where your hand is. This is called the tensor fasciae lati. Okay, next we are going to rotate the leg around. There's the quads, and all the way to the medial side of your thigh. Okay, so kind of on the inseam, under the inseam of your pants, you can see this group of muscles right here. Collectively, this group of muscles is called the adductors. Okay, so the adductor group, which means that they are responsible for adducting at the thigh. The one that you are responsible for knowing is this long, strappy one right here. Okay, again, following the inseam of your pants, this is the gracilis muscle. All right, the last ones on your list we can just barely see. All right, so you're going to be looking right here. A better place for me to ask these muscles would be on a torso model. Collectively, this group of muscles right here is called the iliopsoas, and it consists of two different muscles, the psoas major and the iliacus, and we are going to look those over in class. The final group of muscles isn't going to be in the thigh like we were just looking at, but instead this group of muscles is all the way down here in the calf. What I have for you is the lateral side of the left calf muscle. Okay, and what we can see is starting at the posterior side and going anteriorly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 muscles, and I'm going to teach them to you in that order. The first muscle here is the gastrocnemius. If we look all the way to the back, we can see that there are actually what are called two different bellies of this muscle, which means that there are two kind of muscle groups that are part of the same muscle. So both of this represents the gastrocnemius. All right, next, we have this skinny little muscle right here, which is deep to the gastrocnemius, and that's called the soleus. It is roughly shaped like a fish. Next, we have the fibularis longus, and if you feel up here, there's a little bump. Right, that little bump is the head of the fibula, and we go all the way down here, wrap around the lateral malleolus to insert way down here on the foot. So this one is really long, and it goes along the fibula. So this is the fibularis longus. Right, next, we have a muscle that is actually removable, right, so we can take it off. This is called the extensor digitorum longus, and we know that it is an extensor of the digits or the toes because we can see way down here that it has different tendons that ultimately insert on each of the 4 main toes. Okay, so extensor digitorum longus. Finally, we have a muscle here that goes along the anterior side of the tibia. That is the tibialis anterior. So I always remember these from posterior to anterior. Gastrocnemius soleus, fibularis longus, extensor digitorum longus, and tibialis anterior with the first letters. So my device is Great Sushi Feeds Extraterrestrials. And the final thing to point out on the calf is way down here. This is the tendon that the gastrocnemius and soleus use to insert on the calcaneus bone or the heel bone. And so this is called the calcaneal tendon, probably more known as the Achilles heel. Okay, so again, this is their group of calf muscles. The hamstrings are on the back, and the quadriceps are on the front.